Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters.
Jay-Z and Diddy's names have been floating around courtrooms for years, but this time it's different with Diddy's trial front and center. Some footage leaked that shook the room, and let's just say the judge didn't hold back. We're talking very explicit. Intimate footage that's got Jay-Z's name being pulled into an already messy trial. So what exactly was in that tape to make the judge come down so hard we're about to find out the courtroom drama? The trial of Diddy Combs is currently ongoing in New York City as of May 18, 2025. And he's facing some extremely serious charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The trial kicked off in early May with jury selection, and if convicted, Diddy could be looking at life in prison, that's right. Life in prison, the prosecution is alleging that Diddy coerced women into drug-fueled sexual encounters known as freak-offs, using threats and violence to keep them compliant. And when I say the evidence is damning, I mean it's absolutely shocking. Let's talk about some of the key witnesses who have provided testimony that's literally making jaws drop in the courtroom. At the center of this legal storm is Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, and an R&B singer in her own right. Let me tell you, her testimony is not for the faint of heart. It's giving true crime documentary vibes, except this isn't some Netflix series, it's real life and the details are beyond disturbing. Cassie took the stand in May 16, 2025, and what she revealed about her nearly 11-year relationship with Diddy had the entire courtroom on the edge of their seats. According to ABC News coverage, she read out explicit messages exchanged with Combs painting a picture of a relationship defined by control and coercion. But the most damning piece of evidence, a 2016 hotel surveillance video that shows Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a Los Angeles hallway. This isn't just a grainy, could be anyone type of footage. We're talking clear as day video of Diddy beating, kicking, and dragging. Cassie, the judge, ruled this footage admissible, and legal analysts are calling it the smoking gun. In the case, imagine being in that courtroom when they played that video. The collective gasp must have been audible from outer space. This isn't a case of he said, she said anymore. It's the camera doesn't lie, sir.
Yesterday in court was Cassie's first day of cross-examination, so that's where Puff's team gets to ask her questions about her testimony and just different things that they want the jury to be to hear.
Right.
I don't know what the prosecutors are doing. They did such a good job the day before of laying out, what they had and establishing why their charges make sense, even though I don't think that it's as gut-wrenching as they've made it seem from all the indictments and stuff like that.
This commentary from someone attending the trial gives us a peek into how the prosecution has built their case. And while the commentator seems to suggest it might not be as gut-wrenching as expected, remember, this is someone who's become somewhat desensitized after sitting through day after day of disturbing testimony for the average person. This stuff is wild. Cassie's testimony didn't come out of nowhere. Back in November 2023, she filed a civil lawsuit accusing Diddy of rape and repeated physical abuse. Interestingly, that lawsuit was settled the very same day it was filed with no admission of wrongdoing from Diddy. That rapid settlement raised eyebrows at the time, like why pay if you didn't do anything wrong? But now it seems like it might have been an attempt to keep these allegations from going public in a criminal context, but money can't buy silence forever, especially when federal investigators come knocking. Cassie's testimony in the criminal trial has given her a platform to share her experiences, and the courtroom has been hanging on her. Every word. Now let's talk about corroborating evidence, because Cassie's testimony doesn't stand alone. Los Angeles police officer Israel Flores took the stand on May 12, 2025, and his account backs up what we see in that surveillance video. According to CNN's trial coverage, Officer Flores described responding to a distress call in 2016, the same year as the surveillance footage. When he arrived, he said Diddy had a devilish stare and offered him cash, which Flores interpreted as an attempt at a bribe. He also noted that Cassie had a purple eye and was desperate to leave y'all, a police officer testifying that Diddy tried to bribe him. That's not just messy behavior, that's attempting to obstruct justice, and the fact that his description of Cassie's injuries matches what we can see in the surveillance video adds a whole other layer of credibility to her claims. But wait, it gets even more disturbing. Daniel Phillip, a male review manager, also testified on May 12th, providing some truly shocking details about what allegedly went on behind closed doors. According to CNN's reporting, Phillip stated he was paid between $700 and $5,000, $6,000 per encounter to engage in intimate acts with Cassie under Diddy's direction. Phillip described being present when Diddy allegedly assaulted Cassie, including an incident where Diddy dragged her by her hair. He also stated that Diddy photographed his license, which he interpreted as a threat, basically saying, "I know where you live, so keep quiet." It's giving hostage situation vibes, but with luxury hotel rooms instead of abandoned warehouses. The level of control and fear described by these witnesses paints a picture of Diddy as someone who believed his celebrity status and
go
wealth
into
put
having
him
a
above the
conversation
law.
about the fact that at one point in time, Puff was calling drug dealers and telling them to stop serving Cassie because she was so bad off. Like, she was worse off on drugs than he was, and Cassie admitted that that was happening.
This clip provides some insight into the defense strategy trying to portray Cassie as having her own substance issues, potentially to undermine her credibility. But here's the tea. Even if Cassie was struggling with substances, that doesn't excuse physical abuse. That's like saying it's okay to push someone off a cliff because they were already standing too close to the edge. Make it make sense. And speaking of substances, during cross-examination, some shocking revelations about Diddy himself came to light.
Look, they never, and this is why I'm saying the prosecution left their star witness out there looking crazy, because Diddy's team has never ran from any of that. They have talked about his drug use. Yesterday, it did come up in court that he overdosed at this around the time that Whitney Houston passed away.
Diddy overdosed, and it was kept quiet all this time. The fact that this happened around when Whitney Houston passed away, February 2012, and it never made headlines, shows just how powerful Diddy's PR machine was. Celebrities check into rehab for much less serious issues all the time, but somehow this major health crisis stayed under wraps for over a decade now. What does all this have to do with Will Smith? Well, this is where things get murky. The prosecution has indicated that 4 of Diddy's accusers will testify in total, with Cassie being one. The others are referred to as victim 1, victim 2, and victim 3 to protect their identities. Could one of these anonymous victims be connected to Will Smith in some way? Is that why the rumors about Will's involvement persist? It's also worth noting that during jury selection on May 5, 2025, potential jurors were asked about their familiarity with various celebrities, including Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. According to People magazine, this was part of a list of over 100 names and places that might come up during the trial. Michael B. Jordan's name makes sense in this context. He reportedly dated Cassie after her relationship with Diddy ended, and there are rumors that Diddy threatened him over this relationship. But why include Will Smith? Was it simply because of his past friendship with Diddy? Or is there more to the story that hasn't come to light yet? Let's circle back to those Diddy parties for a moment, because they're central to understanding the allegations against him. The prosecution has described these gatherings as freak-offs, marathon hotel room encounters involving heavy substance use and intimate activities that allegedly crossed the line into coercion and trafficking. For celebrities who were in Diddy's orbit, this trial also presents a dilemma. How do they acknowledge their past relationships with him while distancing themselves from his alleged crimes? We've seen various approaches, from Will Smith's emphatic denial to others who have simply gone silent, hoping the association will be forgotten. The defense strategy in this case has been interesting to observe. Rather than denying the substance use or intimate encounters altogether, Diddy's team seems to be focusing on the issue of consent. According to courtroom reports, they're arguing that while these encounters did occur, they were consensual activities between adults rather than coerced or trafficked situations. This strategy was evident during Cassie's cross-examination, where the defense attempted to portray her as having her own substance issues and being a willing participant in the lifestyle. They also highlighted inconsistencies in her testimony, such as her account of the Sug Night incident.
According to the defense team and the interview that Cassie did with the prosecutors before she got on the stand, like in the beginning of the investigations, that story was completely not true that she said on the stand the day before that.
This strategy, attacking the credibility of victims, is as old as the legal system itself. But in the Me Too era, it's a risky approach that could backfire with jurors. It's giving blame the victim vibes, and that's not exactly a winning look in 2025. What's particularly shocking about this case is how much of Diddy's alleged behavior was an open secret in the industry. That 1999 interview we showed earlier, where he literally predicted his own arrest, feels like a confession hiding in plain sight, and yet for decades he continued to be celebrated, awarded, and embraced by the entertainment establishment.
There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. It ain't nothing but break it down racial barriers, break it down generation barriers. People from all walks of life. Ron Perlman talking to Jay-Z, Jay-Z talking to, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on.
The way Diddy framed his parties as diverse, barrier-breaking gatherings is chilling in retrospect. It's like he was creating the perfect cover story who would question something, presented as progressive and inclusive. It's the ultimate disguise for alleged predatory behavior. And speaking of, Jay-Z's name has come up in connection with this case in a particularly disturbing way. According to Variety reporting, Jay-Z was accused in a refiled lawsuit of participating in a serious assault with Comems in 2000. While these allegations have not been proven in court, they show how the Diddy case has the potential to create a domino effect, bringing other powerful figures into the spotlight. So what happens next? The trial is expected to continue for several more weeks with additional testimony from witnesses and alleged victims. If convicted on all counts, Diddy faces the possibility of life in prison. If acquitted, he'll walk free. But his reputation and career have likely already suffered irreparable damage. Now let's dive into what might be the most fascinating aspect of this whole saga: Diddy's infamous party culture and what celebrities have actually said about attending these events. Let's pick up where we left off. We've established the basic framework of the allegations, the freak-offs, the coercion, the violence. But there are some specific details that have emerged during the trial that are particularly disturbing and speak to the level of degradation and humiliation that Diddy's alleged victims were subjected to. One of the most shocking elements of Cassie's testimony involves allegations of what happened during these freak-offs. And I want to be really careful about how I phrase this because it's extremely graphic, but it's also crucial to understanding the nature of the alleged abuse. According to court testimonies, Cassie has alleged that during these encounters, Diddy allowed or directed acts where she was subjected to bodily fluids. She testified that a male worker engaged in this type of extremely degrading behavior with her, and she felt choking afterward. She described the experience as disgusting and overwhelming. She further alleged that Diddy himself would sometimes engage in similar behavior, emphasizing that she did not want anyone doing this to her and felt humiliated. Let's be real for a minute. This isn't just intimate activity. This is degradation. This is humiliation. This is stripping someone of their dignity and treating them like an object rather than a human being with feelings and boundaries. Cassie also testified that during her first freak-off, Diddy instructed two people to engage in this degrading behavior at once, which she described as a humiliating mixture of dirty and confusion. She begged Diddy to stop saying, "I just want to be with you." Highlighting the coercive nature of these acts, imagine being in love with someone and having them force you to do things that make you feel worthless and disgusting, all while claiming to love you back. That's not love, that's exploitation, that's abuse. The details of the freak-offs themselves are also disturbing. As we mentioned earlier, these events allegedly lasted from 36 to 72 hours, with one instance lasting 4 days. That's not a party. That's an endurance test. That's pushing someone beyond their physical and mental limits. Cassie testified that Diddy controlled every aspect of these events, including choosing outfits, setting room temperatures, and directing the activities. She stated, "Every freak-off was directed by Shaw," underscoring the extent of his alleged control. This level of control and micromanagement speaks to a person who views others as props in their personal fantasy, not as equal partners with agency and autonomy. The prosecution has also presented evidence suggesting that Diddy used various substances to facilitate these encounters. According to their claims, he would provide drugs like MDMA to keep victims awake and compliant for the extended duration of these events. Let's be clear, using substances to keep someone awake and compliant for intimate activities is not consensual. That's chemical coercion. That's taking away someone's ability to say no or to remove themselves from a situation that's making them uncomfortable. But the allegations of substance use go beyond just these freak-offs, according to Rodney Leal Rod Jones Jr. His lawsuit, Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, required all employees to walk around with a fanny pack filled with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, or MDMA marijuana gummies, and something called TUI or pink cocaine. Imagine working in an environment where drug distribution is literally part of your job description. That's not a workplace, that's a drug operation. And speaking of drugs, let's go back to Jonathan Audi for a moment. During his bizarre interrogation, he also mentioned,
"Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the balls and they move it. I seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. Alright, he calls it cheap juice, but it's liquid cocaine."
Again, I want to emphasize that Audi made a lot of wild claims during his interrogation, but it's interesting how specific details like this line up with other allegations about rampant drug use in Diddy's circle. Now let's talk about the physical. Violence that's been alleged, we've already touched on some of it, but the specifics are important to understand the severity of the alleged abuse in her 2023 lawsuit. Cassie alleged that Diddy was physically abusive throughout their relationship. She claimed he would punch, beat, kick, and stomp on her. The lawsuit also detailed a specific incident of sexual assault in 2018 when she tried to leave their relationship during the current trial. Prosecutors described an incident from 2009 where Diddy allegedly stomped repeatedly on Cassie's face on the floor of an SUV. Just let that image sink in for a moment. A man stomping on a woman's face while she's on the floor of a vehicle. That's not a momentary loss of control. That's brutal, calculated violence. That's someone who views another person's body, their face, their identity as something they have the right to destroy. The prosecution has also presented evidence of a 2016 incident captured on hotel surveillance footage showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. This footage, which has been aired by CNN and ruled admissible in court, shows Diddy beating, kicking, and dragging Cassie.
The first witness called to the stand today is an LAPD officer. Israel Flores was working security at the Hotel Intercontinental in 2016 when Combs was seen on surveillance assaulting Ventura. Flores testified that Cassie did not want the police called, so he did not ring up 911.
Flores testified that had tried to de-escalate the situation, urged them to return to their room, and told them that the damage to the hallway would appear on their hotel bill. He recalled hearing Cassie say that she just wanted to leave, but Diddy told her, "You're not going to leave. That's not a disagreement, that's imprisonment. That's holding someone against their will. That's taking away their freedom to leave a situation that's making them feel unsafe." Flores also revealed that Diddy gave him a stack of cash saying, "Here, take care of this for me. Don't tell anyone. That's not generosity, that's hush money, that's trying to buy someone's silence about something you know is wrong." Going back to Daniel Phillips' testimony, he also described witnessing violence. He testified that he saw Diddy drag Cassie by her hair into a bedroom while she screamed, "I'm sorry." He said he heard sounds of slapping and Diddy yelling, "Beach, when I tell you to come here, you come now, not later."
At that same encounter, he was a witness to Diddy violently attacking Cassie. He said Cassie was sitting at her computer when Diddy called her from the bedroom. When she replied to "hold on a second," he says that Diddy came out of the room, walked over to Cassie, grabbed her by her hair, and started dragging her by her hair into the bedroom.
This isn't just about control. This is about ownership. This is someone who believes they have the right to physically manhandle another person because they didn't respond quickly enough to their demands. Daniel Phillips' testimony adds another layer. To this, he said that during one encounter, Diddy asked to see his ID for insurance before he had intimate relations with Cassie. When asked how he interpreted that, Phillips said, "He was threatening me." That's not insurance, that's a threat. That's letting someone know that you have their personal information and can track them down if they ever speak out. The psychological impact of all this alleged abuse cannot be overstated. Cassie's testimony detailed the severe toll on her mental health, including suicidal thoughts in 2023, triggered by flashbacks during a music video shoot. She entered rehab and trauma therapy supported by her husband and highlighted the need for mental health resources. That's not just temporary distress, that's lasting trauma. That's the kind of damage that stays with someone for years, affecting their ability to trust, to form healthy relationships, to feel safe in their own body. The federal charges against Diddy, for which he was arrested on September 16, 2024, include racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty and is currently on trial if convicted. He could face a life sentence, and based on the testimony and evidence we've heard so far, it's hard to argue that wouldn't be justified implications and wider context. Start with Jonathan Audi, the man who made headlines in 2018 after a violent incident. At the Trump National Doral Hotel in Miami during his police interrogation, he made some wild claims about being a sex slave for Diddy and Cassie Ventura. Well,
now that federal investigators have raided 2 of the rapper's homes and an arrest and indictment in a sex trafficking operation could be imminent, the man's comments sound a little less crazy. We'll talk about it. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law